Hello. Just give me 1 second. To set some things up really quickly. As you might have seen, I changed my Sion picture. I updated it, which I'm very happy about. I love Sion so much. She's literally me. Yeah, I'm playing again a little bit late at night. I didn't realize it was this late. I feel like the day just kind of passed like way faster than I realized. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, hi Watch! How are you? I updated my little Sion thing. So now it's from the Maid Cafe. I love it so much. It's so cute. I'm just tweeting really quick and then I'll start going or playing. I hope you're doing well, by the way. That's the wrong one. Click. I'm excited to get into it. I think today we're gonna get to some really spicy stuff in Umineko. So, looking out for that. Oh, what's the wrong button? Okay, there we go, it was fine. Okay, we're going back into episode 2. Beatrice is here. So I'm excited. Oh yeah, and also the new subscription badges are ready. If anyone feels like subscribing, no pressure, of course. When the witch reached the entrance hall, Genji could be seen there. Okay. Oh yeah. All right, I remember. So Beatrice just left Rosa in shock because she did magic in front of her. And Rosa's the abusive bitch. Oh, that was really hard to read last time. Okay, Genji welcomed the guest approaching from the entrance hall with a respectful bow.
お待ちいたしておりました。ベアトリーチェ様。
久しぶりだな、ゲンジ。
Oh, she's so cute in this outfit, little Beatrice. I love her. Well, I go from loving Beatrice to feeling conflicted about her to going to loving her to being like, I don't know, but like, oh, she's so cute. That's for sure. It is for sure she's cute.
どれほどに追いようとも、家具は家具らしく。
Oh, for fuck's sake, you're not furniture. Why do you say that? Stop saying that.
晴れの妻がお前に嫉妬したことも懐かしい。金蔵は元気か？
大変お元気にございます。
ふん。
The witch probably laughed because she knew Kinzo's own doctor had announced that Kinzo didn't have long to live. She's like, you're fucking lying, bitch. However, if anyone actually looked at Kinzo and noticed his vigor, which wasn't at all what you'd expect from someone nearing the end of his life, they might easily call that doing extremely well. Maybe that's what the witch was laughing at.
挨拶に行こうではないか。30年ぶりに互いに呪いの言葉を吐き合うもよかろう。
As the witch grinned, she started walking, leaving Genji behind. Her gait was like that of a family member who knew the inside of this mansion well. Genji followed her in the manner of one who served her. At that time, Kirie came out of the parlor. Oh my god, is she gonna bump into her? She'd probably gone out to fix her makeup or something. And when she saw Genji following a witch, she was surprised, although her expression did not change. A guest for Kinzo had arrived, despite him being almost dead, on the day of the family conference when the fate of inheritance was to be decided. And furthermore, this person was familiar enough with the Uchiromiya family household that Genji was following behind her. Kirie immediately realized that this person she had never met before was deeply important. Kirie and the witch's eyes met. Realizing that it would be rude to pretend not to notice, she greeted the witch.
はじめまして。ルドルフの5歳だったか。
さようでございます。ルドルフ様の今の奥方様であられます。キリエ様でございます。
From this exchange, Kide realized that this was a guest of fairly high rank, even amidst the Uchiromiya family. And the fact that this was a guest on that level, coupled with her resemblance to the portrait in the entrance hall, made Kide's eyes instantly open wide. Yeah, it's Beatrice. Beatrice. Oh, cute! The portrait change.
Hajimemashite. Kirie と申します。初対面でしょうか。もし以前に挨拶をしていたなら、名前を忘れてしまって申し訳ございません。うすうすは想像がついているくせに、わらわにあえて名乗らそうというのか。
Kide thought she'd given a sociable and humble greeting. Her expression grew slightly cloudy at that openly impressive response. At any rate, this didn't seem to be a person she could grow to like. But if Kide's guesses were correct, this witch probably held a vital key to what her own husband was most interested in, something that couldn't help but influence tonight's family conference. So without shooting back a retort, Kirie silently watched her go up the stairs to the second floor, with Genji following behind. So when someone tapped her shoulder from behind, she was so surprised she almost choked. It was Natsuhi.
キリエさん、このようなところに立ち尽くして、いかがなさいましたか。ごめんなさい。ちょっと魔女の肖像画に見とれていただけです。黄金の魔女、ベアトリーチェですか。今日の後宮家の復興は、彼女が授けた黄金がなければ成し遂げられなかったとか。お父様らしい幻想的なお話ですね。
Natsuhi spoke in a perfectly ordinary way. It was the sort of comment you'd expect from someone convinced that the thought of a witch existing was ridiculous, no more than another of Kinzo's ramblings. However, for some reason, that point of view didn't seem quite right to Kiri now. Just a moment ago, she herself had seen the Golden Witch come in from the entrance hall and climb up the stairs. So Natsuhi's words made it feel as though someone was trying to deny the existence of that person, or else make it seem like she was never there to begin with.
ごめんなさい。少し頭痛がする気がして、ちょっと休もうと思います。あら、そうですか。なら、良い頭痛薬がありますよ。用意させましょう。
The hallway in front of Kinzo's study was filled with the scent of sweet poison, peculiar to that green liquor. Genji, who was completely used to it, did not grimace, and the Golden Witch didn't grimace either.
この中からどれほど出ぬのか。
すでに数年になるかと思います。
それほどまでに わらわをカゴの鳥としたいか。哀れな。それを願うそなたが今やカゴの鳥、書斎の亡霊ではないか。それに気づけぬとは哀れな男よ。
あなた様と再びお会いする日までは、おそらく文字通り亡霊となっても研究を続けられるでしょう。
愛か狂気か猛襲か、それも講じれば魔力となるか。悲しき魔術師よ。
The witch grasped the doorknob to the study. When she did, there was a sound like that of flesh burning and splitting open. It was the sound of the doorknob literally burning the witch's hand. If Kinzo wants to see Beatrice so bad, why did he protect the doors like that?
なんだこれは。魔除けか。あやつめ。こんなものに頼らなければ、おのがみも保てぬというのか。
その扉は、ベアトリーチェ様にはおつらいものと伺っております。私がお開けいたしましょうか。
いや、よい。あやつが勝てば、わらわは永遠のカゴの鳥。あやつが負ければ、愛に狂い、すべてを失った哀れな魔術師の生涯が、笑い草となって残るだけ。
So I wonder if Beatrice is trying to disappear.
もはや金蔵もわらわさえも、ゲーム盤に並べられた駒に過ぎぬ。あとは、ルーレットの目が勝敗を分けるだけよ。ルーレットが目を見せるまで、わらわと金蔵が再会する必要はない。
The witch looked at her hand, which was beginning to heal bit by bit, even though it had been horribly burned.
あるいは、そのための魔除けなのか。なるほど。それもまた潔し。すべては今や、金蔵のゲーム盤の上よ。気に入ったぞ、金蔵。そなたとのゲーム、楽しませてもらうぞ。わらわに恋焦がれ、すべての生涯を投げ出したローマ術師の最後のギャンブル。その散りざまを、楽しませてもらうぞ。
Oh, here we go.
誰か。失礼いたします。昼食をお持ちいたしました。入れ。失礼いたします。
Cannon's gonna be pissed when it's Beatrice. After receiving approval, Cannon entered the VIP room, pushing the serving cart that carried lunch. The servants called this room the Witch's VIP room. That was because Kinzo strictly ordered that it always be kept clean so that it could be used at any time. Even so, guests would not be allowed in this room no matter who they were. That's why at some point the servants had started calling it the VIP room, which was supposedly to be set aside only to welcome the special person Kinzo waited for, the witch from that portrait, and today Cannon realized that this was absolutely true. When he entered the room, the blonde-haired witch was gazing out the window. Outside, the rain was no longer falling weakly. As she looked out at the beautiful rose garden, which had been tended to over several days for today's sake, as they saw the winds and rain ravage it, was she struck by some sentimental feelings? Cannon was not able to tell anything more from her back, which faced him.
お食事の用意をさせていただきます、ベアトリーチェ様。
Cannon went out of his way to call out the witch's name, hoping she'd turn around. He wanted to know if the witch who tempted him and Shannon in the past had really appeared again. When he did, the witch whose name had been called laughed, her back still facing him. Holding back her voice, she laughed. Canon was startled. It was almost as though she had read his mind and knew that he had called out to her, hoping to make her turn around.
良い匂いだな。どうやらクラウスは良い料理人を入れたと見える。
はい、近年入ったゴーダという料理人です。
料理の腕が良きことは何にも勝るものよ。美食は人の世で生きる快楽の山中をなす。千年を飽きぬにはこれを欠かさぬが秘訣よ。
Anna and the witch's eyes met. Then she grinned. Without a doubt. Certainly. This was clearly the witch from that day, Beatrice. The witch that no one but he and Shannon could see in the past finally held a form and had arrived openly as a guest through the entrance hall.
ベアトリーチェ様。
久しぶりよの家具のカノン。
お久しぶりでございます。
Ganon tried to remember to be polite to this guest for the time being, but the visit of this suspicious witch made dark clouds start to enshroud his heart, especially considering that today was a family
何を
conference.
しに現れたのかと気が気でならぬと見える。そうであろう。
Ganon didn't force an answer. This witch probably reads minds, so it's pointless to go through the trouble of saying it out loud. Of course, she could read even his inner resistance. So the witch giggled at Canon's childish defiance.
金蔵との最後の約束を果たしに来た。
親方様との最後の約束。
わらわは金蔵に山をなす黄金を貸し付けた。それを金蔵が放棄するとき、わらわは利子をつけて返却を受けることになっておる。今宵それをもらい受けに来た。
僕には何の話かわかりません。
However, uncertainty began to gather in his heart. Whatever this witch had to say, it couldn't be anything good.
違いない。魔女の話にろくなものはないぞ。そなたは正しい。されど魔女とハサミは使いようだ。ソロモン王のように偉業を成し遂げる者も時にはおる。最も多くの場合は童話が語るようにろくな目には合わんがな。しかし金蔵も食えぬ。わらわの利子の取り立てすらも自らの儀式に取り込みよった。わらわをも超えるとてつもない大魔術師か。さもなければ狂気に取りつかれたただの知れ者か。面白い。実に面白い。
Ganon couldn't guess what the witch was muttering and laughing about. All he knew was that anything that made this witch laugh must have the exact opposite meaning for everyone else. And in the back of his mind, the horrifying words the witch had spat at him in the past began to resurface. What, did you think I'd lend you my power and ask for nothing in exchange? I'll gladly assist a pair in love, and in exchange, I'll enjoy watching the cruel fate they'll eventually meet. I've never come across a better show, not over the course of 1,000 years.
まさかお前は。
懐かしき故郷を貫く鮎の川、黄金鏡を目指す者よ、これを下りて鍵を探せ。
The witch suddenly began to recite a bizarre poem. It was something he remembered hearing.
それはまさか魔女の碑文。
There was no mistake. It was the epitaph that accompanied the portrait of the witch Kinzo had put on display. The relatives had guessed that it referred to the location of the hidden gold, but no one knew what it meant for sure. The witch suddenly began reciting that epitaph.
カノン、家具である貴様なら金蔵から聞いていよう。すべてを黄金鏡へ返す日がやってきたのだ。喜ぶがいい。お前の恥辱にまみれた家具の日々がようやく終わる時がやってきたのだ。お前はそれをずっと望んできたはず。自らに存在価値を持たぬ家具にとってただ存在するだけの日々は苦痛に他ならない。魂ある者にとって写しよは固執すべきものだが、亡き者にとって写しよは苦害でしかないからのう。
Complicated expressions flitted across Cannon's face. This was the day of release that Cannon had been looking forward to. However, the coming of this day had been mercilessly stolen. And for some reason, he didn't like the hateful tone used by this witch as she informed him of the coming of this long-awaited day of rest. Cannon couldn't even decide what emotion he should be feeling.
なぜに喜ばぬ。それとも写しよに何かの未練があるというのか。家具の分際で。
未練などない。僕は家具だから。
貴様は実に模範的な家具だな。よいよい。しかし何の未練もないとはつくづく面白みのない。
未練こそがお前の快楽だというのか。
その通り。1000年も生きると大抵の魔女は生き飽きる。わらわは退屈から逃れるために人間たちの運命にブランデーや果実を練り込みケーキのように焼き上げるのだ。オーブンの中で苛烈な運命に踊る人間たちのなんと面白きこと。わらわはこの方面にかけてはちと知られていてな。わらわの料理の腕を見に時には遠方から珍客が見物に来ることすらあるくらいよ。
She's talking about Rika.
言っても家具ごときには理解できぬか。
Cannon couldn't understand what the witch was saying. However, he fully realized that this was a terrifying being who treated the fate of humans as a show, enjoying it whenever some harm befell them. However, furniture has no soul or life, much less a fate. Pitiful furniture does nothing but serve until the day they're released from the real world. To furniture like that, the witch, who had come to release them from everything, was being to be received with overflowing affection. Even though the day Cannon should have been waiting impatiently for had come, he was confused by his own inability to accept it easily. Why was it? The face of Shannon, the person he loved as a sister, rose to his mind, and for some reason Jessica's face did too. Cannon bit his lower lip hard enough that it hurt. Thinking about Jessica like that was something furniture must never do. Even though he thought he'd known that, even though he'd complained about Shannon's relationship, why was it? that Jessica rose into his mind at a time like this. He felt a little shameful at his own naivety. And to forget about Jessica, he turned his thoughts to Shannon. Shannon's also furniture. She has no reason not to rejoice at the coming of the day when all will return to nothingness. But Shannon, through her relationship with George, has experienced an emotion forbidden to furniture. Even though she isn't qualified to be bonded with him, she's still trapped in a dream that she isn't allowed to have. Will Shannon be able to joyfully accept this development? No, she won't. Shannon still has lingering regrets. Those will probably become a great source of pain and torture for her. And those lingering regrets were planted none other by this witch. Why? Because that would be more interesting, nothing more.
シャノンは待ちわびていたはずの日に知ってはならない感情を持ち、とても辛い思いを強いられるだろう。僕たち家具を解放する日を手土産に訪れてくれたあなたに感謝する。そしてシャノンにその日を受け入れがたくしたお前を憎む。
お前もシャノン同様に未練に苦しませてやりたかったぞ。しかしお前は愚直に家具であり続け、わらわに籠絡されることもなかった。しかしシャノンを慕いすぎたようだな。シャノンの未練がそなたの未練となる。それはわらわへの憎悪へと変わるのか？わらわを殺したくば殺してみるがよい。金蔵の家具ならばその程度の力は持っていよう。しかしわらわを殺せば家具どもに安息の日は永遠に訪れぬぞ。そなたにそれが耐えられるのか？わらわによる解放を本当に拒むことができるのか？ひざまずけ。
何を？
ひざまずき。わらわの靴に口づけをするがよい。さもなくばわらわはこの場を立ち去ろうぞ。帰りて永遠に姿を現さぬ。のう、カノン、そなたはそれに耐えられるのか？黄金鏡の扉が開かれればそなたの苦難に満ちた家具の生は終わろう。望むならば人間としての生を与えてもよい。さすればもはやジェシカとは対等。貴様も知りたいはずだ。恋の味隠そうとも知っておるぞ。甘き恋の沼にて溺れるシャノンを見てそなたは羨ましがっている。恋の味を知りたくてうずうずしておるのよ。
やめろやめろ。僕を再び籠絡するつもりか？僕はお前を楽しませるためのおもちゃになり果てたりしない。
ほう、ならばシャノンで満足するとしよう。まいた種はそなただけではないのでな。時には実を結ばぬ果実もある。鍵を手にせし者は以下に従いて黄金鏡へ旅立つべし。第一の番に鍵の選びし6人を生贄に捧げよ。第二の番に残されし者は寄り添う2人を引き裂け。
The witch recited the epitaph again. It was so sudden and diverged so strongly from the current topic. However, that challenging smile made it seem almost as though she was using that epitaph as a threat against Canon.
わからぬか？
Do, 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 do.
この碑文の儀式を成し遂げるには、第二の晩に寄り添う二人を生贄に捧げねばならぬ。寄り添う二人は誰でもよい。夫婦でもよいし、恋人同士でもよい。誰を選ぶかは儀式のルールにのっとり、わらわが気まぐれに決めてよいことになっている。今のシャノンならこれほどふさわしい第二の晩の生贄もないとは思わぬか。
卑劣な。
He didn't realize something. Until today, he thought he'd given up everything else, excuse me, and lived as furniture, acting like furniture. But in reality, that wasn't true. He loved Shannon too dearly. Therefore, when Shannon was in pain, Cannon shared that. If only Shannon had continued to live as furniture, indifferently like Cannon, without any regrets in this world, he wouldn't have had to be in so much pain. The witch planned to toy with Shannon, who had known the taste of love. No, whom she had taught the taste of love as she killed her. I thought she wanted to be friends with Shannon. She wouldn't be welcome into the Golden Land and granted a compassionate release. Instead, if the witch had her way, she'd be used as a sacrifice. Well, that's not true. All the sacrifices would be entered into the Golden Land eventually. Instead, if the witch had her way, she'd be used as a sacrifice, subjected to the utmost of torture and pain, and forcibly turned into a human foundation for this evil ceremony. And this witch would probably make Shannon meet this horrible fate for no reason other than it was amusing to her. I'm sure there's another reason. Furthermore, she was threatening to do this so that she could make Cannon, who had never submitted to the witch, finally given. It was that simple. In the end, though he had tried to resist the witch and avoid pleasing her, he had only made things more amusing for her. After all, he was furniture. No, a toy. They were nothing but toys, meant only to distract her from her boredom.
どうするカノン。ひざまずけばシャノンを生贄に選ぶことを控えんこともないぞ。お前のような玩具を一度屈服させてみたかった。
Without even a fragment of elegance, the witch sneered at Cannon and laughed indecently. That's right, she predicted Cannon's submission even before he'd made that decision himself. Cannon chose to get down on both knees in front of the witch. It didn't matter what happened to himself. However, the excuse me, sorry. The one thing he couldn't bear to see was Shannon, who had given him his only reason to live during his days as furniture, being toyed like this. That was why kissing the shoes of the witch was an easy oath for Cannon to make. When his quivering lips actually touched the witch's shoe, Beatrice let a look of ecstasy rise to her face, then laughed with a voice filled to bursting. At that moment, the witch, who had grown born of life after 1,000 years, was completely filled with the evil emotion that she lived for. When lunch ended, the relatives moved to the parlor. Rosa had bought a high-class brand of black tea from a famous store in Ginza that had been served, and the parlor was filled with a pleasant aroma. Since the children were there too, the adults tried to interact like normal relatives on the surface, talking peacefully about recent events and how their children were growing up. It had started raining, so the children couldn't do anything but sit here like this, watching TV, unable to go outside. Maria was apparently a TV kid, and she kept watching a boring daytime program without getting bored, giggling all by herself. I was a TV kid. It was just me and my TV when I was growing up. At first, Battler joined in, seeming to deepen his relationship with Maria, but he had gotten up early that morning and was gradually hit by a wave of drowsiness. Hello, Mr. Himbo.
おや、大きなあくびだね。朝がずいぶん早かったんじゃないのかい？
ま、そんなとこだよ。緊張が解けて、雨の音を聞いてるうちに眠くなってきちまった。
緊張あんだけ態度でかそうにしてて、緊張なんてしてたのかよ。
They talking about the
一応、
boat?
俺なりにはな。
Scared of not a boat, maybe? I don't know. Butler gave another great yawn and slowly lay down on the sofa. He really did look tired. George and the others had tried talking to him, thinking this was a sign of boredom. When they realized he was really sleepy, they decided to let him be.
おやおや。
おやおや。
食事の後にすぐ横になるとサバになると申しますよ。
True.
冗談よせやい。
The true fact.
ゴーダさん、今夜は子牛のステーキだって言ってたぜ。サバのステーキになっちまう。
Isn't calf steak is baby steak? That's pretty brutal. Why would you eat babies?
熊沢さん、こいつ本当に眠いらしい。毛布を持ってきてあげてくれないかな。
さあどうぞ。
Kumasawa brought a blanket over from the shelf. The large parlor wasn't cold, but the air had gotten a little chilly. So when Butler took the blanket, he immediately wrapped himself up in it like a turtle.
本当に眠かったんだね。何時かに起きる？起こしてあげるよ。
あ、いや、特に希望は。なんか用があったら起こしてくれりゃいいし、なんにもねえんならずっと眠らせてくれりゃいいぜ。おやすみ。
バトラン寝ちゃうの？お昼寝マリアもする。
Oh, Maria can be really cute sometimes. She's just a little kid. She makes me really depressed. She's just a little creature.
バトラは眠いんだから放っておいてあげなきゃ。熊沢さん、もう一枚毛布をもらえるかな。
It was doubtful whether Maria really wanted to take a nap. She probably saw Battler wrapped in a blanket and wanted to do the same. When she received the blanket from Kumasawa, she joyfully wrapped herself up in it and set camp in front of the TV.
せっかく6年ぶりにいた子がみんな揃ったってのによ。こいつ、今回の親族会議の主賓だって自覚全然ねえな。
聞こえてるぞ。のんびり昼飯を食って、しかも外は台風で雨。何もすることがねえってことは、つまり俺の出番じゃねえってことさ。
それはどうかな。
What do you mean it isn't your turn yet? What do you mean it isn't your turn yet? Is he talking about the chessboard that he's playing with Beatrice? Like it's not your turn to die yet, or?
何も起こらないから何もしないなんて受け身の姿勢じゃ 人生は退屈だよ。
George, who the fuck asked you anything? Like, shut the fuck up. No one asked you shit. Go protect your
違うぜ。
wife before
そう
she
いう意
gets
味じゃない。
necked by Beatrice.
なんつうのかな。
What the fuck is
こういう
Battler
時、
talking about?
俺はこう思うことにしてる。出番じゃねえんだよ。
What is am I like too high for this? What is going on? What do you mean your turn? I thought we were talking about sleeping. What turn for what? Like
こいつがお芝居だったならさ、俺の出番じゃねえってことなんだよ。
yeah, so I think he's like subtly talking about his game with Beatrice
だったら
in the weird
舞
way.
台袖でおとなしくしてるに限るってわけさ。
自分の人生はいつだって自分が主人公だろ。
Guess.
そんな脇役根性でどうすんだよ。自分から進んで舞台に上がらなきゃ。
All he's doing is taking a nap. What? What are they talking about?
そういう意味じゃねえ。今は俺の出番じゃねえって言いたいのさ。
Not my turn yet. Okay.
悪いな。眠くて思考がめちゃくちゃだ。勘弁してくれ。
What? I'm so
確かに。
confused. I don't know what the fuck is happening anymore.
眠くてなんだか尻滅裂
I
な
was
ことを
like,
言ってる
okay,
ね。
this game's making a lot of sense. This chapter, I'm understanding stuff, and then like
もう
what?
そっとしてあげようよ。
Oh well.
私は聞き捨てならねえぜ。自分の人生はいつだって自分が主人公だよ。ちょっとそのあたり本格的にバトラーと議論したいけどな。
Slap him awake and tell
寝
him
ぼけてる
queen.
だけだよ。深く考えちゃダメさ。
なんかさ、
Shut the fuck up, George. I hate you. Sorry, I had to get that out.
自分は主役になれないから舞台に上がりたくないみたいな根性。なぜだかすっげえうぜえって思って。
Just pisses me off. With distant eyes, Jessica gazed out of the window and at the gray rose garden obscured by the rain. When she put her forehead up against the glass, the pleasantly cool sensation seemed to chase away any memories she was trying to forget.
君の出番じゃなかったってことなのかい。じゃあ、いつ君は舞台に上がるんだよ。
In that case, who the heck is the main character on this stage? I have no idea. Beatrice? Oh god, what is happening? So they are talking about...
もうやりたい放題じゃねえかよ。
Okay. So that's why... Okay. I was confused too. Hi, Sky. It's like... Okay. So basically... Do you have any idea what's happened in this game so far, Sky? Or you're just like coming in out of nowhere? Because if you're coming in out of nowhere... I'll try to explain the best I can and sum it up for you. But... So the reason they started talking all weird like that is because, yeah, Beatrice and Battler was having the subtleties of their chess game, which is what this scene is. By chess game, it's like, basically Beatrice and Battler are going at this, like, thing infinitely until Battler admits defeat and admits that the witch is real and killed everyone. Because he's just in denial and fighting her for whatever reason. We don't know why. Oh, okay, yeah, I haven't seen the anime at all. I'm going in blind with this, but from the game, yeah. The game, okay, yeah, so it just shifted out of nowhere when it got back to Battler, so that's why I was confused. I thought I was like just like going crazy, and then yeah, that's what happened.
なんだこりゃよ。めちゃくちゃじゃねえか。
So yeah, so he was talking about it's not his time yet, so he's going to sleep, and so I guess we're gonna see whose time it is right now. Probably Shannon or something.
そなたがわらわを否定する根拠とする18人だの19人だのという理論が実に滑稽だったのでな。指し手を変えてみたまでよ。そなたがわらわを否定する最大の根拠は単にわらわが駒としてゲーム盤に並ばなかったからというだけのこと。ならばこうしてクイーンを先に指せばいいだけの話ではないか。初手にてクイーンに道を開けるはチェスの王道ではないか。
ふざけやがって。こんな
Ugh,
の
but Battler's.
認められるわけねえじゃねえかよ。
Why can't you accept it, huh? Are you just? I just don't get it. I
魔
don't
女が
accept
歩い
it.
て玄関からやってきただと。ふざけるんじゃね
なんだなんだ。前回のゲームではそなたに散々自由に手を進めさせたぞ。こたびはわらわがそなたの手に合わせて駒を動かしたに過ぎん。初手にてもう降参か。
え。くそだね。ふざけるな。誰が降参なんかするかってんだ。上等な指し手だぜ。好きに進めればいいじゃねえか。なるほどな。まだまだお前の手番は終わってないってわけだ。好きに手を進めりゃいい。今のうちに十分な陣形を築いとく。俺が必ずしのぐ。必ず詰める。言い訳なんてされたくねえ。存分に来やがるってんだ。まだまだこの程度じゃ魔女なんて認められるわけがねえぜ。
Why don't you want to accept it that badly?
マリアのお菓子を魔法で直したように見えたが、実は同じお菓子をもう一つ懐に忍ばせていて、芝居がかった方法ですり替えて。ああ、そうそうに決まってる。ダメだぜ。
You're in
全然
such
ダメだぜ。
denial, my dude.
ほほう。ローザは歌詞が蝶に散る瞬間を見たぞ。
知らねえよ。そんなのは幻覚か手品か。さもなきゃ見間違いだろ。大した問題じゃね
え。説明のつかぬ部分はさまつと切り捨てたか。なるほど。それがそなたの受け手であるな。墓穴を掘ったぞ。後ろ宮バトラー。
Batura.
お前の手番はまだ先だぞ。もうしばらくわらわの手番を進めさせてもらう。まだまだこれからだぞ、魔女の手番は。
It's a real witch sighting. When they started hearing Battler's snores, the relatives went their separate ways, leaving the parlor and letting Battler sleep in silence. Even though it had been so lively in the parlor with so many people gathered there, when all of them scattered at once and were swallowed up by the vast mansion, it created an eerie silence with no sound except that of the rain.
いや、そんな人間には一度も会ったことはないぜ、姉貴は。
会ったことなんてないわ。キリエさん、本当なの？
私もちょっと玄関ホールに出た時に挨拶をしただけです。20歳ちょっとくらいに見えたわ。私は名乗ったんだけど、彼女は名乗らなかった。源氏さんに案内されて2階へ登っていくのを見たの。
なら源氏さんを見つけて直接話を聞いた方が早いやろ。しかし妙な雲行きになってきよったな。
The mystery woman had spoken to Kyrie. Without naming herself, she sneered that Kyrie should have had a vague idea as to her identity. That brought someone to mind. And then there was her look-alike, the witch in the portrait.
そいつは自分が肖像画の魔女様だとそう言いたいってのかよ。
私はそういう意味で笑ったんだろうと理解したわ。私とは初対面でも私があなたの5歳だと知っているような口ぶりだった。
I still don't know why in the first chapter Rudolph knew he was gonna die. If he doesn't believe in the witch, which he apparently doesn't in the first chapter, why did he just say that to them? That's what I don't understand.
姉貴、本当にそんな奴は知らないんだね。
くどいわよ。そんな金髪女、この屋敷に出入りしたところなんて見たこともない。
そんなようなことはどうでもええで。問題はその女が自分はベアトリーチェだと名乗り、お父さんの財産管理人を名乗った場合の方や。
あるいは愛人の娘を自称して遺産の分配を要求するつもりかしら。いずれにせよとんでもないジョーカーが紛れ込んだものね。兄さんが呼んだの？それともお父様が？
まずいな。俺たちは兄貴をうまく言いくるめりゃなんとかできるものと思ってきた。しかしこれじゃ話が振り出しに戻っちま
う。あなたが私の知らないところでどんな策謀を巡らしてたのか知らないけれど、どうも少しは対策を立てる時間を得られたみたいね。
ああ、その金髪姉ちゃんが今からわずかの時間でも対策を協議できる方がマシだ。
何しに現れたかわからへん以上、撃てる対策も限られとるで。向こうの狙いは何なんや。
決まってるでしょ。お父様の遺産の正当な後継者だと言い張るためよ。お父様は未だにベアトリーチェの虜なのよ。その娘がいたなら全財産を譲りたいと言い出すはずだわ。妙な遺言状でも突きつけてくるかもしれない。
Also, I don't know about that. A lot of times when people are super obsessed with others, they don't transfer that obsession onto their children. Often will treat them coldly.
そりゃ
Even though
裁
that's
判
not
沙汰に
Beatrice's
すれば
daughter, just
半分
Beatrice,
の
but
4分の1は主張できるかもしれないけど、
I don't think he would.
多分決着するまで遺産分割はできなくなるわよ。それは困る。私もルドルフも、もちろんローザもね。
俺たちはそれぞれの都合で早急にまとまった金がいる。俺たち最大のウィークポイントってわけだ。なら狙いは何だ、キリエ。読めるか？
初耳なんだけれど、私たちには急ぎまとまったお金が必要だという前提があるのね。
Yeah, way to talk to your wife about your problems.
キリエさん、男の商売には攻めの時にこそ軍資金が入るようになることもあるんや。それを分かっていな。
Who the fuck asked you? Nobody!
なーにルドルフ、キリエさんには話してなかったの？
すまん、隠してたわけじゃないんだ。実はちょいとした。
いいわ。あなたが私に話す必要がないと判断した話なんだから、それをこの場では追求しない。それよりキュームは黄金の魔女様の狙いを探ることなんでしょ？
ああ、俺たちの話を整理した上で敵の撃ってくる手が見えるか。
Rudolph had a certain measure of trust in Kirie's unique thinking and technique, chessboard thinking. Of course, it didn't give him any more peace of mind than a fortune telling. But every time Rudolph was polishing up on some important strategy, he'd give a great deal of thought to Kirie's advice. For a while, Kirie pressed her finger against her forehead, considering.
今日の今日まで彼女が訪れることが伏せられていた以上、彼女は私たちに何らかのサプライズを与える目的があった。それが財産なのか、親族としての認知なのかは分かりかねるわ。でも今日の今日まで訪れることを伏せていたということは、事前に知らせることで対応を打たれたくなかったと言えるかもしれない。ということは、彼女の目的は対応を打たれると不利になるものらしい。わかる？
なるほどな。例えば親父が以前に書かせた遺言状そのものだとか、血縁の認知とそれを証明できるものだとか、それが揺るぎないもので盤石な証拠だというなら、むしろそれは。
そうね。むしろ疑う立場にある私たちに弁護士でも鑑定士でも連れてこさせて、グーの音も出ないくらいに事実を突きつけるべきなのよ。それができるならね。
つまり奇襲狙いという時点で敵は真正面からの正攻法では勝てんちゅうことを意味するわけやな。道理や絶対勝てる切り札は堂々と切るに限るで、回りくどい切り方はむしろ切り札を曇らせるもんや。
結論から言うと、皆さんがご就寝の遺産問題に直接もしくは間接的に絡む相当のサプライズが突きつけられると予想されるわね。おそらく向こうはそのインパクトだけでこちらを圧倒できるつもりでいる。しかしその何かは相当のインパクトを伴いながらも絶対ではない。
つまりそこがこちらのつけ込む余地というわけね。
あんたはほんま頭の切れるお人や。これだけでも分かればだいぶ心強いで。つまり相手のペースに飲み込まれるなっちゅうことやな。
結局のところ非常にシンプルな結論よ。相手が何を切り出そうとも焦らず冷静に対応する。交渉術の初歩の初歩じゃない。これじゃあ相手の思考を読めたとはとても言えないわ。
いいや、相変わらずなかなかのもんだぜ。こちらに攻める余地があると分かれば余裕も変わってくるってもんだ。
わからないのは彼女とクラウス兄さんの関係ね。クラウス兄さんにとってもサプライズなのか、それとも彼女を呼んだのは他でもないクラウス兄さん自身なのか。もし後者だったなら随分と厄介なことになるかもしれないわよ。
そうね。謎の女を親族会議の当日にこっそり呼びつける。いやらしいセンスがどことなく兄さんっぽい感じもする。
兄貴、こうしよう。女の正体がはっきりと証明できない限り、俺らはその女の
I just realized Rosa's not here with them. Rosa and Maria are completely left out. I wonder where the fuck Rosa is. Just watching over Maria?
それが最善ね。現にキリエさんに対して名乗ってすらいない。正体不明の女の発言で私たちの会議がかき回されちゃたまらないわ。
血縁証明でも示してみせるかもしれんで。お父さんの血が流れてることが例えば母子手帳でも示されたらどうにもならん。
証明物なんかいくらでも偽装を疑える。仮にそれが本物だったとしても、当人が本人だと証明するには病院沙汰にしなきゃならん。少なくとも今の六軒島でそれを証明することは不可能だ。
その通りね。つまりこういうことよ。 今の六軒島では何が示されても真実だと受け入れることはできない。台風が去って叱るべき場所で証明してみせるまで何も信じられないってことよ。
そういうので揚げ足を取りまくるのは姉貴の得意技だな。任せるぜ。
バカ言ってんじゃないわよ。あんたも協力するのよ。私たちにはお金がいる。それも急ぎまとまった額が。私たちは運命共同体よ。こんなところでひょっこり現れた謎の女に遺産の当てをぶち壊されてたまるもんですか。
Rudolph and Ava always formed a united front as siblings at times like this, sickened by the idea that their own inheritance might be snatched away by an outsider. Kitty noticed how indomitable they looked, and she shook her head slightly, and gave a small sigh as she gazed out the window. Outside it was still raining heavily, and everything was gray, having lost all vibrance. The lush garden that the sun had shone on earlier now felt like a lie. For some reasons, the word Ava had said a second ago kept repeating in Kitty's head. So in other words, it's something like this. No matter what's shown to us now on Rokenjima, it can't be accepted as truth. There was an odd nuance in those words. At that moment, the island was closed off by the typhoon and isolated. They had access to no public institutions and no hospital. Soon on this island, no matter what manner of proof related to the outside was shown, it would always be possible to call it a lie. It would be impossible to prove that something was the truth. Now that they were isolated from the outsider, all truths whose proof lay in the outside world would be called lies. So does that mean that right now, on this Rokendima, no truth exists at all? This is too big brain for me. Does it mean that everything will now be ruled by lies alone? It almost gives us the illusion that we've left the human world of truth and have been shut away inside another world, one of lies. Kirie remembered that woman's appearance one more time. She remembered both what she had looked like and the witch of the portrait. On this island, which has been cut off from the world of humans and shut away in the world of non-humans, a non-human being has come to visit. Kirie couldn't think of the smile that had appeared on that woman's face as anything other than a portrait of misfortune. I get the feeling my chessboard's thinking missed a vital premise, one that'll be necessary to understand that misfortune-bearing smile. Yes, that smile made me feel as though someone inhuman was mocking me. I based my reasoning on the assumption that our opponent is a human like us. However, just like this island is now, she may be a being that isn't human, and human values may not matter to her. Oops. If that's true, all of our reasoning is useless. For what reason has the witch been invited here today? Only one thing's certain. Now, in this instant, she's staying somewhere in this vast mansion. Oh, back with the abusive mother. Here we fucking go.
今日のお昼にお外で私たち会ったわよね。女の人に。あれは誰？
おお、何度も言ってる。ベアトリーチェ。
マリアは以前にベアトリーチェと会ったことがあるの？
おお、毎年会ってる。
毎年？この六軒島のお屋敷で？
おお。
じゃわからないでしょ。そうなの？いつから会ってるの？何年前から？
おお、わかんない。
わからない？どうして？去年？一昨年？
もっと前から。おお。
Rosa was astonished. Only the Ushiromiya family mansion existed on this island, so there couldn't have been any humans other than themselves here, and yet Maria said she'd been meeting with this suspicious woman every year during the family conference. If what Maria said was the truth, then that strange woman called Beatrice had been at the family conference every year. That's insane. Is Maria saying that eerie woman was at the family conference every year and not any of us ever noticed? Even though Rosa had just met the woman herself a couple of hours ago in the rose garden, she was overcome with a strange emotion that told her not to accept that existence. What in the world did I meet with earlier today in the rose garden as the typhoon grew near and the winds roared?
マリア、あなたは毎年彼女と会ってると言ったわね。会って何をしてるの？
おお。お歌を歌ったり、魔法を習ったり、魔法陣の書き方も習うの。
そう、それはすごいわね。マリアがよく自由帳に落書きじゃない、魔法陣を書いたりしてるわよね。それも彼女に教えてもらったの？
はい。ベアトリーチェにね、お手本書いてもらうの。ほらほら、見て見て。
見て。Maria joyfully fished around in her handbag. Then she drew out a single notebook and began opening to that page. Most of the pages were covered with drawings that were literally scribbles. All of them were occult-like things, and while it may sound rude to Maria, who was joyfully flipping through the pages, they were all creepy.
ベアトリーチェが書いてくれた。
Those are all from the first chapter. Each one of the pages in the group Maria had opened to had an eerie magic circle. Furthermore, at a glance, Rosa could see that Maria hadn't drawn them. The strength of the strokes, the thickness of the lines, how clean the shape was. By itself, it wasn't enough to guess the background of the person who had written it. But it was enough for Rosa to be sure that it was someone older than Maria. Rosa had to accept it now. There really was a person on this Rokenjima that she herself hadn't known existed until now, and this person had come to the family's conference every year to play with Maria.
マリア、その魔女のベアトリーチェはここに住んでいるの？それとも私たちのように島の外に住んでいるの？
おお、ベアトリーチェはロッケン島の魔女だからこの島に住んでる。
じゃあ親族会議のない日にもこの島にいるというのね。
おお。
じゃわからないでしょ。どうなの？
What in the... I can't believe it. How long has this unknown witch been living on this island? I used to live on this island. I lived on this island, passing the time in the mansion and the rose garden, and even so, I never encountered a witch like that. Right?
Mama? どうしたの？
頭が痛い。
I was probably getting a little mixed up with my memories from when I was a young girl. When I was young, I was terrified of the witch, unlike Maria. So for me, the name Beatrice was a synonym for terror. Surely my fear from those days had been revived by the appearance of the woman going by that name. She can't be a witch. She's obviously a human calling herself Beatrice, right? That's right. That witch entrusted me with an envelope. What in the world could that be? Rosa pulled that western envelope out of her pocket. It was one of the envelopes that bore the Uchiromiya family crest, which Kinzo used for personal letters, and its red sealing wax had even been sealed by the head's ring, which Kinzo held, which meant this envelope belonged to the Uchiromiya family head. In other words, it was from father. Why was a woman calling herself Beatrice holding it, and why did she give it to me? That's right. I'm sure she said to read this aloud at dinner. What in the world could be written inside? A sense of uncertainty gripped Rosa, as if opening this envelope might let loose incredible misfortune. However, at the same time, a little curiosity sprouted out too, urging her to find out what was written inside before the other siblings could. Using common sense, one might guess that it contained a huge decision somehow related to father's inheritance. Actually, since she'd received it from a woman who called herself Beatrice, there simply had to be some connection. Does it mean this person wants not just the 4, but a total of 5 people to be included in the inheritance? I need a large sum of money, and I can't wait long. I feel like such a sinful daughter for discussing father's inheritance while he's still alive. But this is no time to spout off cheap ideals. And I've even concluded with Rudolf Nissen and Eva Nissen in order to get some money out of Kraus Nissen. Coming from that position, I can't help but see the appearance of the witch as a sign of approaching misfortune. What could be written in here? I'm sure it's something frightening. Shall I read it secretly myself first? The witch requested that it be read at the dinner table, with everyone gathered. But if that's what she wanted, why couldn't she just read it aloud herself at dinner? Why did she go to all the trouble of entrusting it to me? Simply put, is it because she doesn't mind if I read it secretly beforehand? It'd be better to secretly read the contents first. I understand that that'd mean breaking my promise. But this is no longer the time for cheap ideals. Depending on the contents, I should probably discuss it with Eva Nason and Rudolf Nisan too. They're always really good thinkers when it comes to this kind of thing. When I gulped and put my hand to the red sealing wax, something suddenly pulled on my sleeve and I let out a small scream. It's just Maria saying not to do it.
マリアなの。驚かせないで。何？
ダメ。
In Maria's expression was the same portent of misfortune she'd felt from that witch, and it sent a tingle up her spine.
ベアトリーチェはママに、その手紙は晩餐で読みなさいって言った。魔女の約束は破っちゃダメだよ。
違うわよ。ちょっと封筒を見ただけじゃない。約束は守るわよ。ママもいつもマリアに約束は守りなさいって言ってる。ママももちろん約束は守るわよ。
うん、ママはいい子。
その笑い方可愛くないからやめなさい。
おお。
そういえばマリアも封筒をもらったわよね。中にはなんて書いてあったの？
開けてない。ベアトリーチェは開ける時が来るまで開けちゃダメって言った。だから大事に持ってる。うん。
そう。マリアはベアトリーチェの言うことはちゃんと聞くのね。
うん。マリアはベアトリーチェの弟子だから、お師匠の言うことはちゃんと聞くの。
そう。
Rosa realized something. Mixed in with Maria's gaze was the glint of someone that wasn't her. If Rosa broke the rules and opened the envelope here, Beatrice would definitely learn of it, because Maria was the witch's disciple. Maria was in contact with that witch.
ママは約束を守るわ。だから安心するようベアトリーチェに言ってね。
うん、伝える。
ねえマリア、ベアトリーチェとお話をしたいんだけど、どうすれば会えるのかしら。
知らない。ベアトリーチェはとても気まぐれだから、いつも突然姿を現すの。マリアからは会う方法を知らない。でもね、いつもマリアのことを見てるの。だからマリアが困っていると後できっと助けてくれるの。きっとね、姿を消してマリアの近くに隠れてるんだよ。
その笑いをやめなさいといつも言ってるでしょ。
Man, really? Even after something like that, you're hitting her? Rosa reflectively hit Maria on the head. That put a stop to Maria's laughing, but it wasn't able to erase the color that had risen to those eyes, a color that seemed to bear a portent of misfortune. Rosa swore. She swore that at least until they left this island, she would not leave Maria alone. She couldn't allow an unknown being to make direct contact with her daughter any longer. Oh, I'm gonna go get water really quick.
「マリア、戻ってこねえな。」
Okay, sorry. Got my water.
またローザおばさんに叱られてるのかな。
Ever since they'd met Maria at the airport, she'd been romping around, chatting about Halloween the whole time. But maybe she'd cut loose a little too much, acting a little too boisterous on the plane, on the boat, during lunch, because Rosa had cautioned her several times. At times like this, Aunt Rosa tended not to scold her much in front of people. More often, she would take Maria aside and scold her alone. So, since Maria had been called off somewhere, they figured she must be getting scolded. They looked at the clock. They realized it was almost 6 o'clock. Of course, they couldn't imagine she'd be getting scolded all this time. Maybe it was time for some anime she watched every week to start. She probably hadn't left the mansion's parlor.
ひょっとするとバトラ様がお目覚めになって一緒に遊ばれているのかもしれませんね。
マリアちゃんにとってバトラ君は新しい友達のような感じだったろうからね。そのバトラ君と飛行場でハロウィンごっこをするのがきっととても楽しかったんだよ。
バトラもずいぶんはしゃいでたな。あいつ図体はでかくなったってのに中身は昔から全然変わらねえぜ。
そうですね。バトラ様は6年前のままでいてくださった気がします。
シャノンは6年前のバトラ君のこと覚えてるんだ。
ええ。何しろ大層お元気な方でしたから。
僕も6年前に4人で遊んだことを思い出すよ。シャノンはだいぶお姉さん風だったね。
そうだな。今よりしっかりしてた気がするぜ。
それはあの頃は身の程をわきまえておりませんでしたもので、 いろいろと失礼いたしました。
いいよ、そんな礼儀云々は。仕事中はともかく、こうして休み時間に過ごす時の僕らはあの頃から変わらない。仲良しで居続けたいね。
そうだぜ。使用人のシャノンとオフの時の作用は使い分けていいだろう。奴隷じゃないんだぜ。使用人の仕事をしてるだけじゃないかよ。私はシャノンとは、サヨとは一番古い友人だと思ってるぜ。
ありがとうございます、お嬢様。
It seemed that Shannon understood the hidden meaning behind Jessica's words. After all, she'd heard a bit about Jessica and Cannon's history from both of them. Apparently, George had heard something of that history too. He walked towards the window and looked up at the darkening, rainy sky.
カノン君はまだ幼いのに考え方が少し背伸びしてるところがあると思うんです。
いや、もうよしてくれよ。まあ私も雰囲気に流されてたところはあったと思うしさ。まあシャノンたちのことを見てちょっと羨ましいとか思って気がせいていたところもあったかもしれねえな。私のことなんかどうでもいいだろ。それよりジョージ兄さんたちの方はどういう感じなんだよ。だいぶいい感じなんだろ
どうなんでしょ
う。とてもいい感じだよ。
Shannon was lost for words, her face red, while George answered brightly and immediately. That carefree attitude made it easy to see that their relationship was proceeding so perfectly it'd make anyone envious.
やけるぜ。ってことはシャノンもそのうち寿大社ってわけなんだ。
どうなんでしょう。私には
どうなんだろうね。僕にもわからないね。
George laughed teasingly as though pressing Shannon for an answer. It was probably the way they usually flirted when they were alone. Jessica could only smile bitterly and say, yes, yes, thank you, that's enough. Aw, poor Jessica.
僕には夢がある。それは一国一城の主になりたいというビジネス的な野望だけじゃない。生涯を共にできる伴侶と幸せな家族を築きたいという夢もある。子供は最低でも2人欲しいとか、
I didn't fucking ask you, George.
家族で一緒にできるスポーツをしたいねとか、他にもいろいろ。そんな話をよくシャノンとはするよ。こんなことを話すといつもシャノンには気が早いですねと笑われるんだけど、僕はこの年のうちからもうなぜか落ち着いた老後のことを考えてしまうんだよ。元気に成長した子供たちと駆け回る孫たちと、そういうものに囲まれていつまでもシャノンと2人ゆっくりと余生を送れたらなって。
そりゃ確かに気の早い話だぜ。でもなんていうのか、ジョージ兄さんらしい話だな。
そんな家族に囲まれたらさぞ素敵でしょうね。私が思い描いていた理想の家族もそんな感じだったと思います。
To Shannon, who'd been raised in an orphanage, that harmonious image of a family was probably something to be yearned for. And George, who had made an absolute promise to grant that wish for her, may truly have been a fitting person for her to spend her life with. To Jessica, Shannon was a precious friend. George was surely the one most fit to entrust that friend's future to.
まあ水を差すわけじゃねえけど、秀吉おじさんはともかくエヴァおばさんとかどうなわけ？説得は大変じゃないの？
そんなことは誰も気にする必要はないよ。 僕が誰を伴侶に選ぶかは誰にもはばかられない。シャノンは僕が幸せにする。それに誰の許可が？
ジョージ兄さんかっこいいぜ。よくそんな恥ずかしいセリフを堂々と。昔の兄さんはそういうキャラじゃなかったと思ったんだけどな。
男子3日合わざれば刮目して待つべしさ。
What? Who says that?
僕だって成長する。シャノンを幸せにするために僕はもっともっと勉強してふさわしい男に成長するつもりだよ。
Okay, good for you, dude. Maybe even George realized how annoying the words coming from his mouth were. His face turned very slightly red and he scratched his head.
ジョージさん。
Oh my god, these
大丈
two
夫。
lovers. 大丈夫。
母さんは確かにごねるかもしれないけど、僕に任せておけ
Yeah,
ばいい。
your mother's gonna straight up murder Shannon.
親族全員に君が僕の伴侶だと認めさせてみせる。
すっげえな。シャノンが羨ましいぜ、まったく。
そこまで言ってもらえて、恐縮です。
っていうかよ、私はお邪魔虫なんじゃないかって気がしてきたぜ。席を外した方がいいか？
As Jessica rose with a forced smile from the bed, she'd been sitting on the phone rang. Before Jessica picked up the receiver, wondering what this could be about, Shannon looked at the clock and jumped. Apparently she'd spent too much time on her break.
すみません。私、お勤めの時間を忘れておりました。これで失礼します。
At the same time Jessica picked up the phone, Shannon began dashing out of the room.
あ、シャノン、またいつもの時間にいつもの場所で。
はい、失礼します。
Ugh, I just fucking hate George. I don't like him.
ああ、ゲンジさん。はい。シャノンは今そっちに戻ってますよ。私たちが引き止めちゃって叱らないでやってください。ええ。はい。
そっか、もうじき夕飯の準備の時間なんだね。
Many plates were lined up on the counter in the kitchen. Preparations for dinner were proceeding steadily. The number of plates lined up there was 19. That was one more than should have been set up for the annual family conference.
納得できません。どうして私が直接お届けに上がってはならないのですか？
Because no one fucking likes you, Goda. Goda-san flared up at Genji, paying no heed to the pot that was spitting steam. The master enjoyed eating alone in his study, so his food needed to be served in that room. However, that was something that always happened. Of course, Goda-san would want to set the table for the master with his own hands, since he'd put his heart and soul into his cooking. I don't care, I don't like Goda, I hate Goda, I hate him so much. But the master had imposed a strict rule that none but the servants bearing the golden eagle crest enter his study. So he can't come in, lol. So while Goda-san would be able to greet the master from outside the study, not once had he been granted the honor of carrying his cooking inside. Get fucking wrecked. Goda-san was always irritated by this. Of course, he was a newcomer in terms of years of service. However, he had piled up plenty of experience from his previous jobs, and he was quite confident that he'd been able to perform in front of Kinzo in a manner that would do him no disservice. And yet, simply because he was not permitted to wear the golden eagle, he still hadn't been blessed with this honor. Can you imagine what damage that would do to his pride? I don't give a fuck. I hate him. Who cares about pride? Pride is stupid. You might think tonight was a repeat of that, but it wasn't. Because tonight there was a person other than the master who wanted their food carried to their room. Apparently this person is an extremely rare and honored guest, and we'd been given the strict orders to treat them in the same manner as the master, the family head. Goda-san must have wanted to earn some points by serving this honored guest with his own hands. After all, he was an extremely vain person. If he wasn't qualified to serve the master, then at least the guest is the same rank. He simply couldn't find time during lunch, so Ken-san had gone in his place. So he truly desired to personally serve this person's tonight meal, the best dinner of the year. But Genji-san had put a stop to that. Something about how Goda-san didn't wear the golden eagle. After being told once more he wasn't qualified, Goda-san lost his patience. Ah, so heart-rending, Goda-san. I cannot do anything more than watch like this from the shadows.
熊沢さん、油を売っている暇があったら食堂の準備をしてきてください。テーブルクロスは大丈夫ですか？
So ugly.
これは失礼を。
When it became her turn to bear his wrath, Kumasawa slid out into the hall.
ベアトリーチェ様は親方様と全く同格のお方です。ルールも親方様のそれと同じものを尊ばなくてはならない。ゴーダは自分の仕事に専念し、親族の皆さんのお相手をするように。
そのようなお客様相手に源氏さんならともかくこんな子供を行かせていいのですか？もし何かの粗相があったら失礼に当たります。確かに彼らの年季は長いですが、しかる正直に申し上げて、お客様に接する基礎ができていないのです。
Shut the fuck up. Goda spoke bluntly, even though Shannon was standing right there in the kitchen. Shannon was the only one whom Genji had ordered to carry the dinner to Beatrice's room. Well, that's because she's friends with Beatrice. By the ranking system among the servants permitted to wear the golden eagle, Shannon certainly was the second highest in rank. If the highest rank Genji went to set the table in Kinzo's room, then it fell to Shannon to set the table in Beatrice's room. Goda's pride was always horribly injured by this ranking system. I don't care about Goda's pride. At times like this, he'd speak out bluntly and rudely against Shannon and Cannon. Goda kept raising examples of each of Shannon's failures until now. That's fucked up. Making a ruckus about how she couldn't do this or was terrible at that. Shannon, who listened to this with her head hung in shame, heard Cannon's voice from behind her. Cannon had been leaning against the wall in the hallway near the kitchen entrance, a blind spot from the inside, and had been listening to all of this. He probably knew that if he entered the kitchen, sparks would start to fly his way.
言わせておきなよ。最低の男だ。
でも接待の基礎の勉強になるし、ゴーダさんはたくさん勉強してるからとても参考に。
姉さんは優しいね。
それより貴賓室のお客様がベアトリーチェ様だというのは本当なの？
うん。昼食の配膳に行かされた時にあった。間違いなくあいつだったよ。
そう、お元気そうだった？
Cannon remembered that he and Shannon had different impressions of Beatrice. To Shannon, Beatrice was a cupid of love who had granted her magic to establish her relationship with George. Judging by the expression that rose to her face, it looked like she couldn't wait to inform Beatrice of how her relationship with George had progressed. However, Cannon already knew that witch came here with a terrifying goal in mind. The nebulous witch that only they'd been able to see in the past had now revived so fully that she could walk in openly through the front door and even have dinner carried to her. Once, when she'd vanished form in front of Cannon, the witch said something about how her own power was still weak, so if the witch was now appearing so openly, does that mean she'd finally regained her former power? And she said something else too. She definitely said that she'd sown the seeds of love while fully aware that they were fail. And she said even more. She definitely said that the day had finally come upon which the door to the Golden Land would be opened. Crazy. That's crazy.
シャノン。
シャノン。
あいつは親方様の何かの怪しげな儀式をし、きっと想像もできない恐ろしいことをする。それには誰も抗えない。
何の話なの？
あいつはやってきたんだ。親方様が求めた黄金鏡の扉を開き、すべてを黄金鏡に戻すために。あいつは僕に確かにそう言った。
In the past, the two of them, as furniture working for Kinzo, had been told what was happening of the door to the Golden Land meant. So Shannon understood everything without having to ask a single question, and because of that she felt a deep despair. Something tore at Cannon's heart as he looked at the expression twisted with grief.
そうだ。どうして今になって。
だから言ったんだ。僕らは家具だって。人間の真似事なんかして恋なんかするから。僕たちの役目の終わるこの日を素直に受け入れられない。い
つかこの日が訪れることを。でもいつまで経っても訪れなくて、私たちはいつまで家具として苦しめばいいのか。だから私安息の日なんて永遠に訪れないんだって。
僕だってそう思ってたさ。でも必ずいつか訪れるって僕は信じてた。だから僕は家具としての自覚を忘れなかったんだ。なのに姉さんは忘れた。
私が。
ああ、姉さんが悪い。姉さんさえ恋を覚えなかったら、僕たちはようやく訪れた今日を喜び合うはずだった。
I don't understand, but okay.
姉さんがくだらない未練を作ってしまったんだ。必ず去らなければならない世界なのに。
儀式は今夜始まるの？
あと、あいつは僕に言った。今夜ジョージ様は姉さんに婚約指輪を贈るだろうって。あいつは姉さんとジョージ様を第二の番の生贄に使うつもりで二人の中。
That was a fact. George supposedly had an engagement ring hidden in his pocket today, and surely he would hand it over tonight.
わかる。姉さんはあいつにそそのかされた上利用されたんだよ。
そうだったの。考えたこともなかったわ。
でもあいつは言ったよ。もし今夜その婚約指輪を受け取らなかったなら姉さんを生贄に選ばないと約束した。僕たちが揃って黄金鏡へ行ける確率はとても低いと思う。13人が生贄になる。生き残るのは5人だけ。その中に僕たち2人が入れる確率は本当に低い。でも姉さんだけでもその約束が得られるなら確率はもっと上がる。僕はかけたいんだ。黄金鏡には救いがある。僕たちはそこへたどり着き人間を手に入れるんだ。そして姉さんと2人で人間としての人生を歩みたいんだよ。そうすれば本当の恋だってできるかもしれない。
I don't. Okay, I'm a little confused, but.
かつての私たちは黄金鏡へ行けることを夢見てたね。 そこへ行けばどんな願いでも叶う。私たちをこの苦しみから救ってくれる、そう信じてた。
However, in this ceremony, only a few people would be invited to the Golden Land, chosen by fate and chance. Everyone else would lose their life as a sacrifice midway through the ceremony. However, in the past, Shannon and Cannon had thought that whether they reached the Golden Land or were sacrificed, they would still be released from their duties as furniture. That meant the ceremony would definitely bring release to furniture like them no matter what happened.
僕は嫌だ。これまでの辛かった分を姉さんと取り戻したい。生贄なんてごめんだ。僕と姉さんは生き残る。そして二人で黄金鏡へたどり着く。だから姉さんを第二の番の生贄になんかさせない。頼むよ姉さん。あの男の指輪を受け取らないで。それを受け取らなければあいつは姉さんを生贄には選ばないと約束してくれた。
それはできないよ。今夜の指輪はとても特別なもの。それを受け取らないことは私の。
姉さん、儀式の生贄は魔女が気まぐれに決めることになってる。その魔女が姉さんだけは見逃すと約束してくれたんだよ。姉さんだけは絶対に黄金鏡へ行けるんだ。
私だけ？カノン君は？
僕は魔女のゲームで十分さ。あいつの魔女なんかかいくぐってやる。
So are they aware of the game that's going on with the witch between her and Battler right now? Like, genuinely? And that's why they say they're like furniture in this game or whatever? I don't know.
僕は無力じゃない。
I'm a little confused.
わずかの確率を無理やり掴み取ってやる。僕たちのせいなんて所詮は仮初めじゃないか。本当の人生を始めるために僕たちは黄金鏡へたどり着こう。そして人間を手に入れよう。そうしたらさ、僕も姉さんみたいに恋が知れるかな。もう家具だからって人を泣かせずに済むかな。
カノン君。
僕はもう家具は嫌だ。絶対に人間になってや。こんな苦しみから絶対に。
There were tears in Cannon's eyes. By now, Cannon had noticed Shannon hadn't been the only one to know and suffer from the taste of love. He had too. The tears Jessica had shown him that day, and Jessica's pitiful face as she tried to smooth things over and stay bright ever since then, had slowly wrought some kind of change on Cannon's heart without him knowing it.
Shannon, さっきから呼んでいる。
Shannon jumped at the sudden sound of Genji's voice. Apparently he had called for her repeatedly. She hurriedly answered. When she turned back, Cannon had disappeared. He seemed like he didn't feel like showing his tears to anybody.
ぼんやりしていてすみません。
Shannon's kind of starting to piss me off a little.
昼食はカノンに頼んだが、本来は私の次の序列のお前が運ぶべきものだ。ベアトリーチェ様は当家の最高の賓客だ。それ以上の賓客はいない。もう一人の親方様と思い、丁重に頼む。
よろしいですか。くれぐれも粗相のないようにお願いしますよ。経験の未熟なあなたに託すのは非常に心苦しいですが、
No one
当
fucking
家のルー
asked
ル
you.
くれぐれも頼みますよ。
Shut up. Goda had officially agreed, but he glared at Shannon with an expression that told her he definitely wouldn't forgive any mistakes. I hope he dies. Even Shannon felt that Goda might as well go himself if he was so desperate to go, but she considered this one of her responsibilities as one who had been allowed to wear the golden eagle and had to give up. And anyway, I wanted to meet Beatrice. What will I talk about? What will I ask? I don't know. Will this be a meeting of gratitude or one of grief? Or else what? I don't know. Shannon piled the witch's food onto the serving cart and left the kitchen at a slow pace. The person knocking was
お父
Kraus.
さん、今日は年に一度の親族会議です。お父さんを一目見ようと兄弟が揃ったのではありませんか。
黙れ。出ぬと言っている。源氏、そこにいるのであろう。なぜ私の指示した通りに食事をここへ運ばせんのか。
Kinzo screamed across the door. Genji was waiting behind Kraus.
お食事は書斎へ運べるよう準備しております。ただ、クラウス様が今夜はどうか下へ降りていただきたい
と。お父さん、毎日とは言いません。せめて今夜だけでも家族で揃ってはくれませんか。
誰が家族か。貴様はいつから生き倒れを待つハゲタカたちを家族と呼ぶようになったのか。腐りて湧き出すウジ虫を家族と呼ぶようになったのか。
やれやれ。
Kraus shrugged at this answer, which he had half
源
expected.
氏、言われた通りに食事をここへ運べ。なぜ言うことを聞かぬ。なぜ
源氏さん、後を頼みます。もうあの人に私の声は届かんね。
Kraus gave his head a small shake, then quickly turned his back on the door to the study. He had only come calling to save face in front of his siblings, knowing how full well and useless this was. After Genji watched Kraus disappear down the stairs, he called again across the door.
親方様、お食事を運ぶ準備はできて南條先生の分はいかがいたしますか。
Nanjo could be seen in the study. Because Kinzo had forcefully pestered him into finishing their long-lasting chess game they had been playing against each other since the early evening. Nanjo had announced as a doctor that Kinzo's days were numbered, so he couldn't refuse if Kinzo demanded that they finish this game while he still lived. Kinzo was thinking deeply about his move, concentrating more than usual. It had been Kinzo's turn for quite some time, and Nanjo, who was tired of waiting, had randomly pulled out a book on magic that he couldn't understand when skimming it.
金蔵さん、盤面を前に腕を組むだけではいい一手は出ませんぞ。一つ休憩をして頭をリフレッシュしてみるのもいいのではありませんかな。黙れ。守りはこれで十分か。ビショップやナイトに隙間を突かれはしないか。
Today, Kinzo was focused on maintaining a strong defense. Normally, Kinzo's motto was that offense was the best defense. However, today was completely the opposite.
私も腹が減りました。ここいらで中断しませんか。それに休みなく頭を回転させておりましたから、もう頭がクラクラです。それは困る。チェスは互いに常に最善手を指さねばならん。そうでない一手は理解に苦しみ、思考を読むゲームを狂わせてしまう。それでは今日を著しく削ぐというものだ。
Kinzo sighed deeply and finally shifted his gaze away from the board. Chess isn't chess without an opponent. If that opponent is tired and wants to suspend the game, there's no getting around it.
確かにチェスの目的は勝利を目指すことで、互いにそのために最善手を指す。そしてそれを読み合う知的ゲームです。ですが、勝利以外にもう一つ目的があることを金蔵さんはお忘れではありませんか
な。なんだと？勝利以外にどんな目的があるというのか。
チェスを通し、真ですぞ。
参ったな。それは確かずいぶん昔に私がお前に言った言葉だったはず。
Oh, they're so in love with each other.
これは参った。
Kinzo, who almost always wore a frown, relaxed his face for once and laughed. Nanjo felt like he'd been reunited with a close friend he hadn't seen in ages.
そういうことです。一本取られたついでに、どうです？私と下に降りて食事と行きませんかな。食後にコーヒーと一緒にカスパロフの中盤についての議論でもいかがです？
良い提案だが遠慮する。私はもうこの部屋から出られない。儀式は始まっているのでな。
そうですか。では私はお腹もペコペコですからな。下へ降りることにします。気が向いたらいつでも。
南條、ありがと
う。おや、何の礼ですかな。
お前とのチェスの決着はつかなかった。だが私が忘れていたチェスの目的はどうやら果たせたらしい。それはどうもチェックメイトと同じくらい重要なものであったらしい。
らしくもない。何の干渉ですかな。
お前が言ったのではないか。私には余命がないと。もう行け。そしてもうこの部屋へ来るな。続きは黄金鏡であろ
う。いいですが、仕切り直しですぞ。ルークが落ちてしまったのは痛手ですのでな。それでは後ほど。
ああ、後ほどな。黄金鏡か煉獄か、あるいは次の世で。
Nanjo didn't say anything beyond that, and with a motion made smoothly by familiarity, he pushed the button on the table that would release the auto lock. Then after looking at Kinzo's back one last time, he left the study. As he did, Genji's voice came from the
それでは
hall.
親方様、これより夕食をお運びいたします。
最後の晩餐になるやもしれぬ。味わわねばな。準備を頼む。
かしこまりました。親方様のご準備の方は万端となりましたか。
この部屋を今日まで問え旗への結界で厳重に包んだ。あれのルーレットが私を選ぼうとも必ずや弾き返す。そして生き残り黄金鏡へたどり着くうちの一人は絶対に私となる。私を冥府へ連れ去ろうとする死神どもの来訪をも拒もうぞ。
失礼します。お食事の準備に参りました。
Shanna entered the VIP room, bowing her head and pushing the serving cart. The young woman by the window, gazing out into the supposedly empty darkness, was definitely that witch.
今度はシャノンか。懐かしいな。ほう、顔色がだいぶ良くなったではないか。カノンとは違うな。見違えたぞ。
ありがとうございます。
Shannon solemnly prepared dinner. There was actually several things she wanted to ask the witch, but they were all jumbled up and she didn't know where to start. Her heart was also jumbled up and she didn't even understand her own emotions. So she could only do her job dispassionately with everything still vague. However, the witch saw what was in her heart. You can't hide anything from a witch.
謝らぬぞ。わらわは魔女だからな。
何がでしょう。
ほや、カノンから聞かされたであろう。そなたの恋路を助けたのはわらわの単なるいたずら心。いかにしてこじれ、ねじれ、破綻するかを鑑賞するためにまいた種に過ぎぬと。
恋はするより聞く方が楽しい方もおられるでしょ
う。まさかわらわに感謝しようというのではあるまいな。
はい。あなたが私にどんな下心があって恋の魔法を授けたとしても、あなたが私に与えてくれたものは変わらない。だから添い遂げられないと知りつつまいた種であったとしても、私は恨んだりしません。
ふん、やはり家具というのは面白みのない。それを面白く調理するのがわらわの腕の見せ所よの。
私にベアトリーチェ様のお考えは分かりません。あなたは私たちなど足元にも及ばない大魔女で、その遠大な資料など想像するにも至りません。でも一つだけ言えることがある。
なんだ。
私に人間を教えてくれてありがとう。あなたが言った。私はもう家具じゃない。
黙れ家具。真の人間ならば婚約指輪を受け取ろうという日に告げられた死の宣告に嘆き狂いて踊り出すだろう。なのにそなたはなんだ。達観し全てを受け入れたような顔つきではないか。実に拍子抜けだぞ家具。
いいえ、私は家具じゃない。
黙れ家具。
黙りません。家具ではありませんから。
わらわの命令が聞けぬというか。
家具なら命令に従います。でも人間は命令に従うかどうかを自分で決めます。だから私はあなたの命令に従わない。
前言を撤回する。やはり面白いぞ。種をまかねばそなたは何の感情も抱かず儀式に身を任せただろう。しかし今のそなたは実に面白く育ち、わらわを心底楽しませてくれるぞ。それでいい。わらわは退屈を愛さないのだから。
お夕食の準備が整いました。どうぞ。
うん、なかなかうまそうではないか。ゴーダが黄金鏡へたどり着くことがあればわらわの料理長に任命してやってもよかろう。
カノン君に聞きました。私にジョージさんの婚約を断らせれば私を生贄にしないなんて約束をしたとか。
うん、したぞ。そなたは第二の晩にうってつけの 生贄候補だったのだがな。カノンがそれを許せと泣いて叫ぶので、寛大に聞き入れてやったのよ。そなたが婚約を破棄すればとの条件付きでな。わらわのなんと寛大なことよ。
なんてバカな条件。そしてなんてバカな脅迫。そんなものでカノン君をいじめ抜いたというの。
ほう、わかるのか。
Apparently, Shannon had seen through it. She'd apparently guessed how the witch had bullied and humiliated Canon with that horrible promise as bait.
絨毯に這いつくばらせ、わらわの靴にキスをさせてやったぞ。それだけではない。他にどのような恥ずかしめを与えたか聞きたいか。
Shannon silently shook her head.
あなたという人を私はようやく理解しました。あなたは人をいじめ、惑わせ、困らせて、それを楽しみ、糧にしている。だからあなたに抵抗する唯一の方法がこれであると確信した。
なんだ。
あなたなんか知らない。私は私に与えられた運命を全うする。だからあなたを面白がらせたりしない。
あなたなんか知らない。
The witch's features twisted in hatred for just an instant. It disappeared immediately, but that expression that briefly rose to her face was rare for the witch, whose malicious smile usually never faded for a second.
そういう抗い方もあるか。面白い。気に入った。殺してやる。お前の思い人と一緒にな。
それがあなたの決められた運命ならばご随意に。私はそれに怯えたり逆らったりしません。これから起こる苛烈な運命があなたの意志によるものだなんて信じないから。私たち人間は未来に起こりうる運命など知らない。だからこそ最後の瞬間まで自分の信念と運命に従い精一杯生き抜く。運命はただのサイコロの目。そこに悪意なんて感じない。あなたが吹き込もうと信じない。
ほう、家具をやめたくせに死を恐れぬとはな。それがわらわを退屈させると思っているようだが、それは大きな誤解だぞ。そなたが本当に最後の瞬間までそれを貫けるか、ますます興味が湧いた。
私は悔しい。どうしてあなたは人の姿をして私たちの前に現れ、人の言葉で語り私たちを嘲笑うのか。私たちの前に現れず運命を予告しなかったなら、私たちは最後の一瞬まで精一杯生きられるのに。
それが魔女というものよ。貴様らの運命を食い物に、工事の存在として定時の存在の上に君臨する。そなたらの運命など所詮はかけら。両手で碗を作ればいくらでも救える。わらわに飼われた肉牛どもが何をほざこうとも、わらわの食卓を楽しませる結果に変わりはせぬのに同じこと。
無力な私たちにはあなたの儀式にも運命にも抗うことなどできない。しかしあなたに今すぐ不愉快な思いをさせることはできる。
ほう、それは何か。
今すぐここを立ち去ることです。あなたの言葉に答えることは全てあなたの問いかけに答えないことがあなたへ唯一。
一矢報いることはできよう。しかしわらわを倒すことはできぬぞ。わらわは誰しもを永遠に殺す力を持っている。 永遠に繰り返し殺される輪廻の中で、そなたがいつまでその抵抗をできるのか忘れるなよ。自らが口にした言葉。
それでは失礼いたします。ご用がありましたらお呼びください。
Shannon gave a reserved bow and faced away. With that gesture, maybe she really did take a shot back at the witch, just as Beatrice said, because when the witch called out again, she sounded a little more quick-tempered than she had before.
カノンはわらわに感謝したぞ。そなたは感謝せ。安息の日をわらわが与えることを。
家具なら安息の日を喜びますですが、私は人間ですので、だからあなたに感謝することはありません。ご用はそれだけですか？
ジョージから指輪をもらうつもりであろう。受け取れば、わらわがカノンと交わしたそなたを生贄に選ばないという約束を破棄すること。忘れ。
まだご用があるなら他のものを来させますので、それでは失礼いたします。
A flat-out interruption. Shannon still hadn't answered her, and the sound of the door closing came instead of an answer. Shannon's resistance probably struck far more deeply into the witch than Shannon herself thought, because an expression of hatred once again rose to Beatrice's face, and she had made Cannon submit even though she hadn't been ensnared until the end, whereas Shannon, who had been so easily ensnared before, refused to submit this time.
やはりこれは面白いことではないか。わらわもまだまだ若いか。これだから1000年は生き飽きぬのよ。
This was the most fabulous part of the family conference dinner. In the past, when Keenzo had been serious about the conference, he'd taken everyone's yearly gathering for dinner very seriously, because anything embarrassing that occurred during the dinner would cause the deepest shame for him as the host. He had given Natsuhi stern orders to avoid embarrassment at all costs. Because of that, she and Kraus eventually hired Goda, who had confidence in his cooking abilities. Thanks to that, they became able to serve wonderful dinners they could be confident in. But at that time, Kinzo had closed himself up in his study and never appeared for dinner. Maybe you could call that ironic. When the main dish was for tonight, calf steak, was set out, Goda began to describe it proudly, further stimulating everyone's appetites.
こちらソースはボルドレーズとなっております。ベースの赤ワインはもちろんボルドー産の中でも素晴らしいものを使用しておりますが、その他にも世界各地数種類の名酒をブレンドしまして、このソースは本年限りのものでございます。どうかお楽しみいただければ幸いです。
素晴らしいじゃないか。しかしボルドレーズソースはフランス料理の王道ではないのかね。それにフランス以外の酒を使うのは少し邪道ではないかという気もするね。
旦那様、本日は年に一度の親族会議でございます。普段は遠方にお住まいの皆様がはるばるお越しになり、一堂に集われた夜の晩餐、世界各地より普段は出会うことのない名酒を取り寄せブレンドしたソースが何よりもふさわしいかと存じ、特別にご用意させていただいたのでございます。
素晴らしい。
I think I'm gonna take a break right here and go get some food, and then have the dinner and all the chaos that'll come with that ready for next time I stream. But thank you everyone for being here. If you are here at any point, I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a good rest of your night or morning or whatever time it is for you. A good new year that you've been having, hopefully. Okay. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye bye.